A mysterious virus has suddenly swept across the world, and anyone who falls asleep is instantly killed. Luckily, Mark works as a night shift security guard, so he and his coworker accidentally manage to survive. But when their shift finally ends, Mark and his coworker head to a friend's party, only to be shocked by what they find. Everyone at the party is fast asleep. Despite the deafening music blasting through the room, they're all sleeping incredibly soundly. Mark checks their pulses, only to realize they're not even breathing. Mark suspects there has been a gas leak, so he quickly calls Frank and asks him to help save them. But for some reason, there isn't a single car on the streets tonight. When they finally reach the hospital, the place is already completely overwhelmed. A nurse tells them far too many patients have been brought in tonight, and the hospital doesn't have enough staff. So Mark and Frank are told to wait in the break room. With no other choice, Mark and Frank head to the break room. Meanwhile, a father and daughter are sitting inside. They both look extremely tired, and before long they start nodding off. But just as they're about to fall asleep, the old man suddenly starts foaming at the mouth. Then, the woman beside him suddenly stops breathing too. That's when Mark realizes that everyone who falls asleep tonight may die just like the people at the party. The nurse panics when she hears this, because just moments ago, the head nurse told her she was going to get some sleep.
Britt!
What the hell?
Sure enough, just like everyone else who fell asleep, the head nurse stops breathing too. To test their theory, Mark and the others decide to check the streets. But after driving for more than 10 miles, they don't see a single person. Normally, it's only 8 in the morning, when everyone should be heading to work. Yet every store along the streets is completely closed. The nurse finally can't take it anymore. She tells Mark to pull over. After getting out, she suddenly fires a shot into the sky. But after the deafening gunshot, there isn't a single reaction from the surroundings. At that moment, they finally realize the entire city may have already fallen. Mark's heart sinks because his girlfriend lives nearby. He has to contact her immediately to make sure she hasn't fallen asleep. But when he calls, he discovers her phone is turned off. Mark can only leave her a message, then races toward her house like crazy. Along the way, almost everyone he sees is already asleep. Mark becomes increasingly desperate and pushes himself to run even faster. When he reaches his girlfriend's house, he kicks the door open and starts shouting her name. But when Mark rushes into the room, he discovers his girlfriend isn't sleeping in bed at all. Just as Mark is confused, his girlfriend mistakes him for a burglar and knocks him unconscious. Luckily, she is still awake. She explains that she couldn't sleep last night and stayed awake the entire night. But then she tells Mark that she just took 2 sleeping pills and they should kick in soon. Mark is terrified when he hears this. He immediately panics. He quickly tells her everything that happened tonight. Everyone who falls asleep dies mysteriously, so she absolutely cannot fall asleep. After hearing what Mark says, his girlfriend completely panics. She quickly forces the pills back out of her throat. Luckily, she hasn't swallowed them for long, so the sleeping pills haven't taken effect yet. That saves her life. But the situation is still extremely serious. They've already been awake for more than 24 hours. If they can't find a way to stop the virus, they'll all eventually collapse. Mark's girlfriend tells him she once heard about a mysterious virus that kills people the moment they fall asleep inside their dreams. She never imagined that such a virus could actually exist. The nurse says, if it's a virus, there has to be a way to stop it. She suggests they return to the hospital, find some stimulants, and then figure out how to develop an antidote. So, they all head back to the hospital. But as soon as they walk inside, Mark and his girlfriend hear someone calling for help from the 2nd floor. They rush over to investigate and find an elderly woman. The woman tells them she has cancer, and her entire body is in terrible pain. That's why she hasn't been able to fall asleep. Ironically, that pain is what saved her life. Mark quickly tells her about the sleep virus and asks her to hang on a little longer, because as long as she stays awake, she still has a chance to survive. But after learning the truth, the old woman still insists on taking painkillers. She knows she doesn't have much time left, so rather than continuing to live in pain, she'd rather volunteer and help them conduct the experiment to develop an antidote to the virus. Mark is deeply moved by her words. This may be their only option. The nurse places the old woman inside an MRI machine and continuously monitors her brain activity. Then, they wait for her to slowly fall asleep. But soon, the nurse notices something strange. At first, when the old woman falls asleep, her brain activity is completely normal. But just 3 minutes later, her brainwaves suddenly spike. Then, her heart stops beating. That means she was most likely killed by something in her dream. No one can accept this conclusion. But the truth is, everyone in the city is dying because of this virus. Frank can no longer take it and completely breaks down. But just then, Mark suddenly comes up with an idea. If the old woman was killed by her dream after 3 minutes of sleep, then what if Mark only sleeps for 2.5 minutes and has everyone wake him up in time? Could that keep him from being killed by the dream? More importantly, during those 2.5 minutes, he could enter the dream himself and find out exactly what's happening inside.